Lin Xiaoman slept for 3 days. During those 3 days, the sky above the 9th safe zone never truly cleared. It was not rain. It was the gray-blue stain left behind by psychic welding light, repair arrays, and the last drifting mist of contamination over the southern wall. The special ward at the first hospital had been turned into a fortress. 7 layers of seals circled the room. The windows had been replaced with one-way isolation crystal. Medical officers, Ash base personnel, and the military all posted guards outside the door. Lin Xiaoman lay in the center of it all, pale and quiet. The bone-white keyhole mark on her chest was clearer than before. It no longer looked like an illness. It looked like a door pattern that had not yet learned how to hide itself. Lin Jin sat beside her bed. He had barely slept. After reaching the 3rd stage, his body recovered faster, but his mind was more exhausted than ever. Since the descent of Luo Qianchu, the mirror fate seat, he had begun seeing too much. The hidden lines in the hospital seals, the altered safety parameters inside the machines, the worry that doctors tried to bury beneath professional voices. Even the tiny movements of Xiaoman's keyhole lines while she dreamed. The more he could see, the heavier the world became. Luo Qianchu had once told him that seeing a thing did not mean he could endure it. Now Lin Jin understood. That had not been advice. It had been a warning. Shen Qing entered with 2 cups of recovery fluid and placed one beside him. If you refuse to rest any longer, the doctors are going to throw you into a stabilization chamber. They tried, Lin Jin said. And failed? I said I would cooperate with testing. I did not agree to enter the chamber. That is not cooperation. He looked back at Xiaoman. She hasn't woken up. Shen Qing did not soften the truth. Sitting here will not make her wake faster. Lin Jin drank the fluid. It was bitter enough to make him frown. What is this? A mental recovery dose. It tastes terrible. It works. So he finished it. Outside, the political situation was no less bitter. The central restriction order still existed. Some frozen resources had been released, but the most important channels remained locked. The White Prison's first layer had been broken open, and too many people now wanted the ship hidden inside it. Then Lin Xiaoman opened her eyes. The entire room froze. Lin Jin moved first. Xiaoman. She looked at him for a long moment, as if she had traveled a very long distance to reach the sound of his voice. Then she whispered, "Brother." Every monitor in the room trembled with rising numbers. Doctors rushed in, then stopped when Lin Jin raised one hand. He was not threatening them. He simply would not allow panic to reach her. First Xiaoman looked down at her own chest. "I heard chains," she said. Lin Jin's breath caught. "In the dream?" She nodded. "Very far away. Like someone was dragging them across an empty place." Everyone understood what that might mean. Lin Junyue, their father. The man bound beyond the door. The next formal test of Lin Jin's new power nearly made him collapse. Mirror Fate sight was not like the old soul-cutting sight. The old sight turned the world into lines. Pollution lines were black. Seal lines were silver. Fate realm lines carried their own attributes. It was complex, but at least the lines had direction. Mirror Fate sight did something worse. It showed the places where the lines had been processed. A seal line might have 3 layers of disguise. A pollution line might be carrying a bait thread beside it. A memory could be true, but cut away from the reason before and the consequence after. A choice could look like his own and still be a road someone else had paved in advance. The world became too loud. Hundreds of silent mouths opened at once. "Look at me. Cut me. Trust me. Do not trust me." Lin Jin lasted less than 3 minutes before he dropped to one knee with blood at the corner of his eye. The monitors screamed. Ji Yuxing shut the test down. Shen Qing walked into the training field and handed him another recovery dose. Every time you say you understand, I believe you a little less. This time is different, Lin Jin said. Why? My eyes hurt. At least that is honest. Ji Yuxing divided mirror fate sight into 3 usable modes. Full sight could reveal all lines and all traces of manipulation. But the mental cost was brutal. Focus sight could lock onto one target. Flash sight opened for only an instant. Enough to judge whether something was real, baited, or altered. The lesson was clear. Lin Jin could no longer win by forcing himself to endure everything. If he tried to see the whole truth at once, the truth would crush him. He had to learn to choose what mattered. Not long after, Xiaomin entered dream sight again. This time, she was not dragged in. She chose to go. The first hospital raised its alert level. The medical bureau, Ash Base, Ji Yuxing, and Shen Qing built 3 protective layers around her. A stabilization chamber held her body. A lightning-based mental anchor held the edge of her consciousness. Lin Jin stood outside the dream with mirror fate sight, watching for false lines. Yu Baishuang projected herself behind Xiaomin through the white bone seat. For once, she did not joke. Remember, she said, you are there to listen to the route. You are not there to open the door. Xiaomin nodded. If the ship invites you aboard, do not step on immediately. I know. If someone calls your name, ask who they are first. I know. If you see your mother, take 1 step back. Xiaomin looked at her. Sister Yu, you sound nervous. I am not, Lin Jin said flatly. You are, Shen Qing added. Very obviously. Xiaomin smiled, and the fear in the room loosened just a little. Then she closed her eyes. The keyhole mark lit up. White mist unfolded. The gray river appeared again. The white prison ship waited by the shore. This time, the wooden bird at the bow opened both eyes. It did not speak. It tapped the deck once with its beak. A thin silver line appeared on the surface of the river. The route stretched into the distance. At first, it was only light. Then scenes formed inside the line. A gray sky, broken royal pillars, a black nest of star bones, and beyond it all, a tower. 3 enormous chains wrapped around that tower. 2 of them were cracked. The third was whole. Xiaomin whispered, Dad. Lin Jin saw it too from outside the dream. The route did not lead directly to the tower. It landed first on the gray wilderness beyond it. Ji Yuxing recorded the dream coordinates as fast as the system could process them. The 4th condition of the white prison ship finally moved. Not enough to sail all the way. Enough to begin. At the same time, the central delegation arrived in the 9th safe zone. Bai Shuyuan stepped off the white administrative aircraft in an immaculate review court uniform, smiling as though the collapse of White Prison's first layer had never touched him. Behind him came Zhao Minzheng from the Central Resource Allocation Bureau, Fang Si from the Joint Security Council, and Ji Jiwei with her data tablet. They came to talk about resources. They came to talk about supervision. Most of all, they came to talk about the ship. Bai Shuyuan looked across the receiving line. Lin Xiaomin is not here? Lin Jin's voice was calm. She is a patient, not a bargaining chip. Bai Shuyuan smiled. I was only concerned. Lin Jin opened mirror fate sight for one instant. 3 layers appeared in Bai Shuyuan's words. Surface courtesy. A probe to confirm whether Xiaomin could participate in the white prison ship. And beneath both, a fine review mark trying to read the stability of her keyhole. Lin Jin closed the sight before the pain could sharpen. She does not need your concern. The negotiation began. The central side argued that the white prison ship was too dangerous to belong to one safe zone. The 9th argued that the ship had been created precisely because central power, the review court, the old royal court, and the Star Masters could not be trusted with it. Then the internal pressure began. Not everyone in the 9th safe zone wanted confrontation. The southern wall needed repairs. The outer city needed housing. The hospital had only days of certain medical stock left. Resource managers, merchants, and reconstruction officials all asked the same painful question. If ship data could be traded for supplies, why not trade? Lin Jin listened. He did not mock them. They were not enemies. They were people trying to keep a broken city alive. At last, he said, "We can talk." The room stilled. Risk data can be discussed. Non-core technical records can be discussed. White prison crime evidence can be shared. He looked at them one by one. But the white prison ship cannot be sold. Someone protested that no one had said sold. Lin Jin answered quietly. Using it in exchange for resources is selling it. The ship was not a weapon. It was not a machine. It was a counter-route built from his mother's locked authority. His father's ash blade scars. The nameless soul envoy's name echo. And the fate of both Lin Jin and Lin Xiaoman. Its reason for existing was simple. It refused to obey. If they handed it over as a bargaining chip, it would stop being the white prison ship. It would become another white prison. So Lin Jin made a different proposal. They would not sell the ship. They would use the first route to bring back proof, coordinates, and border resources that central authority could not obtain alone. The 9th safe zone would not kneel for survival. It would sail. The first entry into the border behind the door did not feel like crossing a battlefield. It felt like stepping into a place that had been waiting. The white prison ship moved without oars, without engine sound, without wind. It slid along the gray river, following the silver route Xiaoman had heard in her dream. The water was too still. The sky was too empty. Even the silence seemed sealed. Lin Jin stood at the edge of the deck with mirror fate sight held in flash mode. He did not keep it open. He had learned that lesson. Open too long, and the world became a storm of processed lines, false causes, baited memories, and half-truths sharpened into hooks. So he watched in fragments. A glimpse, a judgment, then darkness again. On the deck behind him, Shen Qing kept a lightning anchor tied to Xiaoman's consciousness. Qin Yu stood with his sea-opening force ready to break interference. Ji Yuxing monitored the route from a layered projection. And Yu Baishuang sat at the stern, fingers resting on the bone-white railing. Xiaoman did not board the ship alone. That had been Lin Jin's first condition. The second condition was even simpler. If the ship tried to choose Xiaoman over her own will, Lin Jin would cut the route immediately. The wooden bird at the bow turned its head toward him. It gave no answer. That was answer enough. The gray river carried them into a ruined borderland. Broken royal pillars rose from the distance like the ribs of a dead giant. Black star bone nests clung to the earth in clusters. Far beyond them, half hidden by mist, stood the chain tower. 3 chains wrapped around it. 2 cracked. 1 whole. Lin Jin felt Xiaoman's breath change when she saw it. "Do you hear him?" he asked. She nodded. "Not words," she whispered. "Just chains." The ship stopped before it reached the tower. The silver root thinned, then broke into ash. Ji Yuxing's voice came through the communication seal. "Route stability is dropping. This is the farthest fixed coordinate we have." Qin Yu frowned. "So we walk from here?" Yu Baishuang looked toward the gray shore. "No. We survive from here." The first thing they encountered was not a monster. It was a remnant soul. It knelt beside a collapsed watchpost. Armor burned black. Face missing. Hands still holding the shape of a banner that no longer existed. When the group approached, the remnant raised its head. "Name," it rasped. Lin Jin opened flash sight. The soul had been cut apart by something clean and ancient. Its own name was gone. In its place, a hollow line pulsed like an empty mouth. "Do not answer with your real names," Lin Jin said. The remnant repeated. "Name." Yu Baishuang's expression cooled. A name hunter passed through. That was the first warning. The border did not only contain pollution. It contained things that ate identity. Ji Yuxing called them ash remnant souls. But the name was too gentle. These were people whose names had been stripped away, leaving only duties, fears, and broken commands. The first battle came at the border watchline. Star bone creatures crawled out from the nests like pale insects made from broken armor and rib bones. Their joints clicked against the ground. Their heads opened into black hollows filled with thin silver threads. They did not roar. They whispered names. Not loudly. Not clearly. Almost that was worse. Almost hearing a familiar voice made the mind lean forward. That was the hook. Shen Qing struck first. Lightning fell in a white-blue spear, nailing one creature to the ground before its mouth could finish shaping Xiaoman's name. Qin Yu stepped forward and opened the sea. The gray earth split in a rolling surge of force, carrying 3 star bone creatures backward and grinding their limbs against shattered stone. Lin Jin waited. Then he opened Mirror Fate Sight for one instant. The battlefield became lines. 1 creature was real. 2 were bait. The 4th was only a shadow carrying a name thread toward Xiaoman. Lin Jin cut the 4th. His ash blade passed through what looked like empty air. A thin black line snapped, and the shadow screamed with a stolen voice. Xiaoman flinched. It had sounded like Su Wanning, their mother. Lin Jin did not turn to comfort her. Not yet. The fight was still moving. Yu Baishuang rose from the stern, the white bone seat's projection blooming behind her. Bone-white chains shot forward, locking 3 creatures in place. Her smile had vanished. Trying to use that voice in front of me is poor manners. The chains tightened. The creatures cracked into ash. When the battle ended, the silence returned thicker than before. Xiaoman stood very still. Lin Jin finally lowered his blade. It wasn't her. I know, Xiaoman said. But her voice was small. They moved deeper into the borderland and found the remains of an old camp. The banner had long since burned away. But Lin Jin recognized the blade marks in the stone. His father's. Lin Junyue had been here. Not as a prisoner passing through. As someone who had fought, retreated, returned, and left signs for whoever might come after him. Ji Yuxing reconstructed the layout from broken seals. An outer defense ring, a temporary medical point, a communication pit, and at the center, a small cleared space where someone had carved 3 words into stone. Do not answer. Lin Jin stared at them. No explanation, no signature, only those 3 words. Do not answer. Then the wooden bird on the ship gave a low tap. Across the camp, a thin crack opened in the air. It was not a door. It was a seam between one false place and another. Ji Yuxing called it a threshold ferry. Yu Baishuang called it a trap that had learned how to look useful. The crack showed a passage of pale light, and inside that light came a woman's voice. Lin Jin. The world stopped. Xiaoman went pale. Shen Qingyi's lightning anchor tightened. The voice came again. Xiaoman. It was Su Wanning's voice. Soft, tired, real enough to hurt. Lin Jin opened Mirror Fate Sight in focus mode and nearly lost his balance. The voice had truth in it. That was the danger. It was not a simple fake. It carried a real echo of Su Wanning. But it had been cut out of context, grafted onto something else, and wrapped in a name thread that wanted a response. The words were bait. The ache inside them was not. Xiaoman whispered, "Mom?" Lin Jin stepped between her and the crack. Do not answer. The 3 carved words behind him seemed to grow heavier. The voice changed. You came so late. That was when Lin Jin understood the cruelty of the border. It did not simply lie. It used what was true to make the lie impossible to ignore. He raised his blade, but he did not cut immediately. If the voice contained a true echo, cutting blindly might destroy a fragment they needed. So he asked a question instead. Who are you? The voice paused. Just for a breath. Too long. Su Wanning would have answered as a mother. The thing inside the crack answered as a door. Give me your name. Lin Jin cut. The ash blade tore through the pale passage. The seam screamed. Not with pain, but with hunger. Silver-white fragments burst outward like broken glass. One fragment flew toward Xiaoman. Yu Baishuang caught it with a bone chain. Inside the fragment, a single syllable pulsed. Not a complete name. A name fragment. Ji Yuxingyi's voice shook with excitement. That is part of the formless name echo. The third condition of the white prison ship moved again. But Lin Jin did not celebrate. He looked at Xiaoman. She was staring at the place where the voice had vanished. Her hands were clenched. It used Mom, she said. Yes. But there was something real. Yes. She breathed in slowly. Then we cannot run from it forever. Lin Jin wanted to say that she could. That he would stand in front of every false mother. Every hungry door. Every stolen voice. Until she never had to hear one again. But that would be another kind of cage. So he said the harder thing. No. We cannot. The border answered with wind. High above the ruined camp. Something moved among the star bone nests. It had no face. It wore fragments of many names like torn cloth. Yu Baishuang's voice lowered. Name Hunter. The creature turned toward them. And for the first time, it spoke clearly. Lin Jin. This time, it was not bait. It knew him. The first route had brought them to the border. Now the border had noticed them. The thing above the ruined camp wore no face. It hung between broken pillars and gray sky. Its body shifting like cloth soaked in shadow. Across its surface moved countless fragments of names. Some were bright. Some were rotten. Some were still struggling. The name Hunter looked at Lin Jin and spoke his name again. This time, the sound did not come through the air. It came from inside his bones. Lin Jin opened Mirror Fate sight for a flash and saw the danger too late. The creature was not calling him. It was testing the shape of his name. A hook of silver-black light reached for the line that connected Lin Jin to the world. For an instant, the old soul-cutting instinct told him to cut it. Luo Qianzhou's warning rose in his mind. If you cut every line you dislike, one day you will cut the reason you are still yourself. Lin Jin shifted his blade. He did not cut the hook. He cut the path the hook wanted to become. The name Hunter recoiled. Shen Qingyi's lightning struck the space it left behind, tearing away a curtain of false echoes. Qin Yu opened a wave beneath the broken watchpost, forcing the creature lower. Yu Baishuang locked it with 3 bone chains. But the chains began whispering as soon as they touched it. Not words. Names. Stolen names. Each one tried to make the listener remember someone who had never existed. Xiaoman pressed both hands to her chest. It's full of holes, she said. Lin Jin heard the fear in her voice. But also something else. Recognition. The keyhole in her chest was answering the creature's emptiness. Do not open, he said. I know. The name Hunter twisted, and its faceless head split open into a woman's smile. Su Wanning's smile. Not the whole face. Only the part that would hurt most. Xiaoman, it said. This time, Xiaoman did not answer. The creature changed tactics. Lin Jin, it whispered. You came too late. Lin Jin's grip tightened. That line had truth in it. He had come late to the white prison. Late to his mother's suffering. Late to his father's chains. Late to the truth hidden under 20 years of apocalypse. The name Hunter fed on that hesitation. Its body opened, and for one breath the ruined camp became a hospital ward. Su Wanning sat beside Lin Xiaoman's bed. Not as a monster. Not as a corpse. As a mother who had survived everything and was simply waiting for her children to come home. Xiaoman took half a step forward. Shen Qingyi's lightning anchor flared. Xiaoman. The girl stopped. Tears gathered in her eyes. But she raised her chin. Who are you? The false Su Wanning smiled. Your mother. Xiaomin shook her head. That is not an answer. The illusion cracked. The name hunter screamed. Yu Baishuang laughed once. Cold and proud. Good girl. Lin Jin moved in that opening. Mirror fate sight. Flash mode. One heartbeat. He saw the creature's body. The stolen names wrapped around it. The false mother's smile. And beneath all of that, one pale fragment that did not belong to the monster. A real echo. Not enough to become Su Wanning. Enough to prove she had resisted. Lin Jin cut around it. The ash blade passed through the name hunter. Its stolen names burst outward like sparks. Shen Qing burned the loose hooks. Qin Yu crushed the remaining shell with a surge of sea force. Yu Baishuang caught the pale fragment before it fell. Inside it was one broken sound. Not a full name, but the white prison ship answered. Far behind them, on the gray river, the wooden bird tapped the deck twice. The third condition rose. The formless name echo had grown stronger. But the victory did not feel clean. Xiaomin looked at the fragment and whispered. Mom fought it. Lin Jin nodded. She did. Then her name is still somewhere. Yes. The word cost him more than a promise. Because now they both believed it. They returned to the ship with the border pressing around them. The gray wilderness had changed. The broken pillars seemed closer. The star bone nests pulsed under the soil. Far away, the chain tower gave a long metallic groan. Lin Junyu's chains. The sound pulled at Lin Jin like a hand around his heart. Then a second sound answered. Not chains. A note. Low. Hollow. And without form. Yu Baishuang's expression sharpened. The formless second tone. Jiyu Xingyi's projection stuttered through the communication seal. All root readings are destabilizing. The border coordinate is being overridden. Qin Yu looked toward the tower. By what? Lin Jin already knew. The name hunter had not been alone. Something deeper had heard the cut. The gray river darkened. The white prison ship did not move. Its wooden bird stared into the distance. Eyes fully open now, as if waiting for a command that had not yet arrived. Xiaomin stepped closer to the bow. Lin Jin caught her wrist. No. I only need to listen. Number. She looked up at him. Brother. He hated that tone. Not because it was weak. Because it was not. She was asking him to trust her again. The formless second tone rolled across the river. Wherever it passed, fragments of false names floated up from the water. Some belonged to dead soldiers. Some belonged to white prison victims. Some were not human at all. Then one name rose clearly. Lin Junyue. Lin Jin froze. The name hovered above the river in broken light. The third chain around the distant tower trembled. The ship finally moved. Not forward. Sideways. As though the river itself had bent. Jiyu Xing shouted through the seal. Route deviation. Repeat. Route deviation. The ship is being pulled toward a secondary border layer. Yu Baishuang gripped the railing. It is not the ship. It is the name. The formless tone was using Lin Junyu's name as an anchor. If they followed it blindly, they might reach the tower. Or they might be swallowed by whatever had learned to sing with a stolen father. Lin Jin opened mirror fate sight in focus mode despite the pain. Blood ran from his eye almost instantly. He saw the name on the river. It was not false. That made it dangerous. It was real, but incomplete. A surviving part of Lin Junyu's name had been wrapped in a formless tone and turned into bait. Not a lie. A hostage. Lin Jin understood then why his father had carved "Do not answer" into the camp stone. Some traps did not need lies. They only needed you to love someone. The ship tilted. Xiaomin's keyhole mark flared white. The root condition shook violently as if the vessel wanted to accept her as its true lock. Lin Jin placed his blade against the deck. White prison ship, he said. If you force her, I cut you. The wooden bird turned. For the first time, it spoke. Choice. The voice sounded like old wood, river water, and prison doors. Lin Jin stared at it, then let her choose without being pulled. The bird lowered its head. The pressure around Xiaomin eased. She inhaled sharply, then stepped forward on her own. I will not open the door, she said. The ship listened. I will not answer the name. The river listened. But I want to know whether Dad is still there. The formless second tone shook the air. Xiaomin closed her eyes. She did not call their father. She asked the keyhole in her chest a different question. Is this pain ours? The answer came as a chain sound. 1 strike, 2 strikes, then a third, much fainter than the others. Lin Jin felt his throat close. The third chain was still whole. And behind it, their father was still resisting. The river name shattered. The formless tone lost its anchor and recoiled. The ship snapped back onto the first route. Ji Yuxingyi's readings stabilized by a fraction. Yu Baishuang caught another shard of name echo. Shen Qing burned the remaining bait threads before they could settle. For one moment, nobody spoke. Then Qin Yu exhaled. That was almost very bad. Yu Baishuang looked at him. Your gift for understatement is improving. Lin Jin knelt beside Xiaomin. Are you hurt? She shook her head. No. Do not lie. I'm scared. That is not hurt. It still feels bad. Lin Jin's expression softened in spite of the blood at his eye. Yes. It does. The first entry ended there. They returned to the 9th safe zone with coordinates. Fragments of the formless name. Proof of the threshold fairy. And confirmation that Lin Junyu's third chain remained intact. The central delegation wanted the data immediately. Lin Jin gave them a report. Not the ship. Not Xiaomin. Not the core route. Bai Shuyuan read the restricted version with the same calm smile. You are becoming careful. Lin Jin answered. I am becoming specific. Fang Si wanted to pressure him. Zhao Minzheng wanted to count the resource value. Ji Jiwei said nothing, but her eyes stayed on the line marked formless second tone. That night, the 9th safe zone received the first restored resource channel. Not enough, but real. The southern wall repair crews worked until dawn. In the hospital, Xiaomin slept without falling into dream sight. Lin Jin sat by the window. Blood cleaned from his face. Blade across his knees. Luo Qianchou's voice echoed in his mind. You did not answer. Number. You also did not cut everything. Lin Jin looked at the city lights below. No. The mirror fate seat was silent for a while. Then it said, almost approvingly, good. Far beyond the safe zone. Beyond the Grey River. Beyond the first border route. The chain tower stood under a dead sky. 2 chains cracked. The third remained whole. And somewhere behind it, Lin Junyue heard the echo of his children and did not answer. Because he, too, knew the rule. Some names must be protected by silence.